guest speaker. The message of the preacher was very good. By coincidence, he started on the head of the subject when I had actually been told by God to speak about the bottom of the problem. This is because he quoted Matthew chapter 5, the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. And he correctly brought it out that this was the first message of God. While previously we had been hearing from prophets, Muhammad and others, Moses and others, but this time the Son of God himself came and spoke. So I really congratulate him, and I want to encourage him to put in a booklet form that lecture, that preaching. If you can write it in prose, it will help our people to grasp the message. But what I had wanted to, because as you hear, we have been having prayer breakfast now. This is the 21st. And I will speak about that later, a little later. It will not take long. Now, when we started, Uganda was coming up, because you remember Uganda had totally collapsed. Everything had broken down. There were no goods in the shops. Infrastructure was all broken down. The social services. So we were beginning. We have now moved a long distance. And I'm very happy to see so many of the leaders here, especially the members of parliament, the district leaders, and the ministers. Now, this is where you are in big trouble now. You see, in the past, people were just surviving. There was no this, no that, no that. There was no money. But now, we are beginning to have money, have contracts, have projects. That's where the trouble is now coming. For you, the leaders, you're going to be in trouble. And when I was coming here, God told me, because he said, you go and tell these leaders about Luke chapter 16, verses 10 to 12. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. This English is not as clear as our local languages. I don't know why. I don't know how we can export our language, because in Runyankore it is really terrible. But when you read it in English, it is Chiriyao, Chiriyao. Because in Runyankore it says, Korukubo Mwesugom Biche, no, it is very direct, very much stronger somehow than the way it is in English here. If therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, now this mammon I didn't know what it meant. Somebody has told me that it means material, I don't know what, I can't. Money hungry. Ah, okay. Who will commit to your trust the true riches? This is the question. If you are not faithful in the small things, how will you be trusted with the big things? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? So I said, let me go and tell these people, because I can see Africa is coming up. You know, other continents are going down, but we are coming up. But in this coming up, there are a lot of temptations for the leaders. So you are in trouble. So I thought I should come and tell you this. This I got from God. I didn't. Because I had not thought what, then as I was, what will I tell these people? Then God, Now, because you remember the preacher was telling you what you should do, what should be done. Now here, from the end, I'm telling you what will happen if you don't do. That's why I think that this was really God's packaging. Because the preacher started with what should be done. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the kingdom of heaven, and so on. But this one now is the punishment. If you don't do, this is what will happen. You know, that's how we speak in our languages. Because we Africans are never in a hurry. That's why they have survived all these problems. Because that's how they speak. As if you had no plan to do anything else. The translation of that is, when I was still thinking about it, then God gives me another one now. In the morning when I was preparing, because I was late, I was panicking. I had to ring the speaker, please, I will come late. But as I was rushing around then, so, you see, I read the Bible systematically long ago. And I have not had time to read it systematically again for a long time. But somehow, the computer, whenever I come across a situation, the computer brings up a verse in the Bible. And I normally don't know where those verses are. But these days, the computer has made the work very easy. So what I do, I tell my PPS, I don't know whether she's religious or what, I don't know. but she knows how to use the computer. So I say, you get me this verse. You can go in the computer and then the computer will tell you where the verse is. So, then God put in my head this Galatians chapter 6. What I found to be Galatians, I didn't know, but it was in the head, the verse. In Runyankore, the English translation always confuses me. Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 9. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that has soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And so on and so forth. So I said, this is also very dangerous. I should go and tell these people that this is what it says in those languages. Whatever man sows, that's what he reaps. So the African leaders, really, you are now in trouble. Because for the first time, because Africa has been in trouble for almost the last 500 years. You know how the problems of Africa started. We had our old systems, which were there, a lot of progress, but also a lot of weaknesses. We had both. We had both progress and weaknesses. Now, those who read the Bible, if you read the book of the Acts of the Apostles, you will see the journeys of St. Paul, how Paul was going through a land that is called in the Bible Asia Minor. Asia Minor. That land, if you go there now, it's not there. But some of the old towns are there. The letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Where is Ephesus? The letter of St. Paul to the Galatians. Where is Galatia? Where is it? The letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Where is Corinth? Corinth is there. It is in Greece. You can still find it there. How about to Thessalonica? Where is it? It's also there in Greece. But Ephesus is in what is now Turkey. So what was Asia Minor? The lands which St. Paul was talking about in the Acts of the Apostles are now what is now Turkey. Now, when the Turkish captured Constantinople in 1453, and they blocked the overland route of Marco Polo for the Europeans. All the Europeans were going to China and to the east through that land route which had been established by Marco Polo some years before. But when the Ottoman Turks captured that point, they blocked it. And this is where the problems of Africa started. The Europeans started looking for a new route to the east. because they were blocked by the Turkish. And that's how, led by the Portuguese, they started going around until, you see, 1453. By 1487, that's when a Portuguese man by the names of Bartholomew Diaz arrived at Cape Town, and he called it the Cape of Good Hope, because now there was a hope to go around Africa, to go to the east. So that's how the problems of Africa started. When the Europeans came, they started taking slaves because of our internal weaknesses. The Europeans could not have done that if we did not have internal weaknesses. It was our internal weaknesses which we should examine frankly and confront. And that went on for a long time, the slave trade. Then eventually colonialism, which also took a long time. But now, all that is behind us. And then when we got independence, we had a lot of problems. The Europeans had left here their puppets, like Idi Amin. Idi Amin was not part of us. He was a colonial soldier. So that's why he was doing what he was doing, because he was not caring about us. But we have overcome all that. Africa is now free. And is beginning to move. Now, that's where now the problem is. You are given a little trust, you abuse it, how will you get bigger trust from God? Now, and this one I can tell you because I've seen myself. For the last almost 60 years, I've been watching what has been going on here, how people misuse their chances. I've been watching. So you the leaders, you have got a very big challenge. Do not be tempted to abuse the trust given to you by God. You may think it is people who have elected you, but actually it is God. Who has brought you forward through people. Now, if you abuse that trust, I have seen it with my eyes in the last 60 years, how people have ruined their chances. Certainly here on earth, I don't know what happens in heaven, but here on earth, I have seen them ruining their chances because of not using the trust you are given. Do not be corrupt. Don't agree to take a bribe or to ask for a bribe. Don't do it. I have never taken a bribe from anybody. Or accepted any bribe or requested. I don't know why God keeps saying you move around here, move around there. I don't know. But I've been seeing this. But I can give you one example. When we were fighting the regimes, I was a young man. I was working with Mwalimu. I'm glad Tanzanians are here. What Tanzania wako wapi? Wale wa Tanzania unatoka wapi wewe? Mwanza. Mwadira. We are speaking our language. Kuna wa Tanzania wengine huko. Okay. So I was working under Mwalimu. And I would do. Mwalimu was the president. Those who are not Africans may not know. Mwalimu was the leader of Tanzania. Mwalimu Nyerere, that was his name. He was the leader of Tanzania who was supporting us in our struggles. So I would come from Tanzania to come and infiltrate and do work here in Uganda. Very dangerous work. Not what you are doing now. You have no work. You are simply given 100 million shillings, that this is money for the people. The only thing you need to do is just to give it to the people who should get it. No other work. But for us, who are coming to face danger. Now, the issue was, what if I say I'm going to Uganda, but I reach on the way and come back? Don't go where I'm supposed to go. Who would know that I've gone or not gone? Because there was no monitoring. I hear you members of parliament talking of oversight, all that. So who would oversight a guerrilla? Where would the auditor come from? To know whether I have arrived in Uganda, whether I have made the contact I was supposed to make, or I was simply telling lies. Because some of the people would do that. Some of the people would come, not to reach, then go back and fabricate a story. I went, I came back. Now, because of doing what we are doing faithfully, I think that's why God kept pushing. Because this one I saw with my eyes. I didn't hear. Nobody told me. I did not read about it like this is the Bible. I saw it. So, my advice to all to Africans, please, the oversight this time is God. It is not a committee, it is not this chairperson, no. God himself is the one who is oversighting you. Please don't ruin your chances. I have seen people ruining their chances with my eyes in the last 60 years. Because I'm glad some of the people are here, like Mzee Roka Sisi is there, some of the leaders. When you hear that our independence leaders, they were all young people. There was nobody I don't think there was anybody who was 50. Maybe Mzee Kenyatta. Mzee Kenyatta was the only one who was 50, I think, at that time. All the others were in their 30s, 20s. Nechon died recently, he was 28. Kakonga was 26. They were all young people at independence, 1962. So what could happen that even Idi Amin was a young man? But why would these young people really mess themselves up so much and mess the country also the way they did? Mutesa was 39. They were all young people. But what the preacher was saying, those beatitudes, be humble. No humility. Everybody this way. Be humble. What are the beatitudes? The number one is be. What is the first one? Or be poor in spirit. Be hungry for the word of God. Meek. Be humble. Umetowazi. The other one?
Lovers of justice. Hungry and thirsty for justice.
Yes. Do justice. to other people. That was the problem. Our leaders were not listening to that. Full of themselves. I saw with my eyes. I didn't hear. I was not told. I did not read. I saw. Because at independence, I was 18 years old. And I was following everything. I started following what was happening in Africa in 1956, when I was in P4. There was a Nyankwere paper. I don't know who was publishing it, called Wamanya. Have you known? It is the one which I saw saying that Omukama wa Misiri ateire meri Suez Canal, that the president of Egypt, Colonel Nasser, had sunk a ship to block the Suez Canal because there was that war, the 1956 war. From that time, I was following everything. So please, don't be tempted. When you are given a little trust, don't abuse it. By not abusing it, you will get bigger trust. That's number one. Number two, don't mock God. Don't try to be what you are not. Whatever man sows, that's what he reaps. Finally, the other day I was watching these TVs, CNN actually, and there was a big program there about your breakfast. I don't know whether you watched it. There is this woman called Aman Pool. He was interviewing a man who has written a book about our prayer breakfast. This man, I think he's linked with the other groups. You remember the other groups? I think he's linked with the homosexuals. He has written a book called The Family or something like that, saying that we who are involved in the prayer breakfast movement are like a secret society. That we are led by Doug Coe. You know Doug Coe, our chairman, who died recently. That we are led by Doug Coe, and that we meet secretly, and we plan how to take over governments and stay in power. It's really amazing. So I think anybody who knows this fellow could invite him when he comes here. And they were, of course, talking about Uganda also, that there is a very strong branch of this prayer breakfast movement in Uganda, and that it has got terrible people like a man called David Bahati. There's a man called David Bahati who said that homosexuals should be killed. Oh, can you imagine this man said homosexuals should be killed? But I want really to, because me, I'm a product of Africa. Whatever I do is Afrocentric, Afro-centered. The reason I linked up with Doug Coe and I brought this movement here was because they were doing what some of our people had neglected doing, which the NRM had done. So I actually could call Doug Coe a member of NRM, although he never bought a card or wanted to join. But what he was doing was exactly what the NRM had been doing. And that's how I linked up with him. First of all, the movement did not emphasize the interdenominational rivalries. That's what I saw. Did not emphasize, I am Catholic, I am Protestant, I am Muslim, I am... No, they said, focus on God. Do you believe in God? If you do, doesn't matter what denomination you belong to, you are welcome. That's what I saw there. But I also, he briefed me how it started in 1953, when the situation in the world was very dangerous, the rivalry between the Soviet Union and the West, and how they would meet, even people from the other side. So there was also the issue of reconciliation, of inter-civilizational dialogue. That is the second point I saw. Number one, interdenominational, but focusing mainly on God, without emphasizing the denominations. Number two, inter-civilizational linkages. That's what I saw in this movement. So if there's anything I don't know, but you should tell me. If there's a secret society you're organizing, you should tell me. Otherwise, if what I saw is what is, let's really move out boldly, because you heard what the preacher said. How can you light a lamp and you put it under a bushel? The Runyankore one is terrible. No hembe tetaro okajifumbikira ekiibo. In Runyankore it is terrible. How can you have a lamp and you cover it? You should put it on a lamp stand so that it shines everybody, so that the people see the light, see your good deeds, and praise your Father who is in heaven. We should not really be ashamed. I was really amazed by that group, and I wish they could come here and we have dialogue with them. If you know where they are, bring them and we enlighten them. So I thank the preacher. I encourage him to write his message in a booklet so that it can be easily accessed. And I thank you for coming in such big numbers. And I want to apologize for coming a little bit late. But God knows everybody's. At least we have come. Thank you. May God bless you.
Let's put our hands together once again to appreciate His Excellency the President for the powerful message from God that you have given us. We may take our seats. We are coming to a close of this National Prayer Breakfast. I want to thank each one of you for coming. I want to thank the Master of Ceremonies who have done a fantastic job, and the organizers, and each one of you for making it here. And above all, I want to thank God who has given us a fantastic weather today. Actually, we were a bit worried, Your Excellency, when you came in, and the speaker had to ask you, how much time do you have here? And he said, I'm here.